You started working at the age of 18. You've never been to a university, yet you have founded an academy.
I've always been questioning things. So I understood the gap, what was happening, and what can we do to get it better.
There are many academies out there. What is it that distinguishes you from others?
To say it in one line, skill and knowledge-based qualifications.
Fazil Sheikh is amongst top 100 education leaders and is bringing revolution through skill-based education.
Brick-based campuses and colleges will face a lot of backlash in the numbers or recruiting students because it's fading away.
You mentioned something about communication. Do you want to elaborate?
Let's say a 21, 22-year-old, the energy they have and the curiosity they have, it could be mapped with an entrepreneur who has already been there and done that, been successful.
What are the other skills that are really important?
It's our obligation to inculcate the spirit of entrepreneurship and leadership to our students through EQ models.
What is the biggest threat that the AI is posing to the current education system?
It's creating everything for you. We are creating humanoids.
Okay, so today's guest is someone who promotes something that is really close to my heart. It's skill-based, real-world education that truly helps people grow. So what's exciting about Fazil is that he's never been to a university and has founded Maverick Business Academy. His academy is transforming education by bridging the gap between traditional learning and real-world skills. Whether you're working in a business or building one, these are the skills that we actually need. As always, before we dive in, let me tell you that today's discussion will change your views on education in the real world. Let's dive in if you're ready for this change. Thank you so much, Fazil, for joining me today.
Pleasure, Tariq, and it's an honor to be knowing you. And thanks for having me here with you guys.
Thank you so much. So I'm personally very fascinated by your story, especially with the fact that you started working at the age of 18.
Yeah.
You've never been to a university, yet you have founded an academy which helps people gain university degrees.
Absolutely.
How has that happened?
Well, I came to Dubai, the land of opportunities, 20 years back for my high school, 11th and 12th. And I understood from that moment that this is an expensive place. And I and my best friend, we took an oath that if we are studying here, it has to be on our own money, and not to burden our parents or anything. That was the first intent. We kept it positively. And right after my 12th grade, we started interning, and up to 6 months. My first paycheck was 630 dirhams, a Maverick Bank paycheck. And I remember taking the family out and having a good dinner and taking them for some shopping. After that, I got the best break of my life with HSBC in Emar Square as an operations associate, where I worked there for 3 years. So for me at that time, what I understood was if you have to make it big or have an impact in what you do, you need to believe in yourself and believe in what you're doing. So I had that emotional drive from day one. That if I'm here and if I'm studying here, it has to be on my own money and own terms. Alhamdulillah, by Almighty's grace, from that time till now, it's been the story. So I worked 3 years with HSBC, Emar Square, great learning curve, amazing people, robust challenges as well, because I think that 3 years period, my sleep duration was just 4 hours because morning we start work and evening was the college for the diploma purpose, not the university. And this went on for a period of 3 years and the time flew by. So I understood that you have to shift right now, can't be saturated. But even in this time, I was involved in a lot of other opportunities, e-commerce, direct selling, and mentoring school students or youngsters wherever possible, because knowledge is for sharing. It can't be stagnated. It has to flow like a river.
True.
I'm sure you agree with that.
Absolutely.
So these are small areas when I understood that, okay, this is where you have to be and to reach that level. And after my HSBC, 1 year I worked as a business development manager for Frankfinn Institute of Air Hostess Training. My job role involved reaching out to students in schools and training them on soft skills and informing them about our courses. So this is where, let's say, the eureka moment happened for me a little bit, because after my presentation in the evenings or in the late nights, I used to get message from the parents of the students. Mr. Fazil, my daughter or my son, they enjoyed your session. They learned a lot and they had this fear or this phobia. You crushed it. So I was like, wow, okay, maybe you have something, and this needs to be explored further. I'm not a certified trainer. I'm not a certified psychologist. That's why, if you see our tagline also, Maverick Business Academy, the people's learning partner. I'm one amongst you. I'm one amongst the other students or brothers and sisters out there or the whole community out there. So this is how we shaped the entire values and ethos. So the 1 year of working over there, I sort of understood that there's a lot to be done in this education space.
Even though you hadn't gone to the university?
No. Even though my load was full, the schedule was tight and working around the clock, but I was enjoying what I was doing. To see your people happy, to see your parents happy, it's because of their blessings that we all are here.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of students out there and youngsters out there should appreciate that fact and have that sense of gratitude.
Mm-hmm. True.
And because of doing all these things on a consistent basis, I was able to understand that how can we do better in order to bridge the gap wherein education shouldn't be expensive. It has to be accessible. At the same time, what you're delivering needs to be accredited. So at the end of the day, people come to you to receive a proper education and an accredited qualification. So this is where we started the work on. It's been a beautiful 10-year ride so far, and I think we are doing somewhere okay.
Absolutely, you are. Just going back a little bit, you worked for 4 years with 2 companies, but then you founded something else before Maverick, right?
Perfect. Yes, that's right.
What was that?
So in 2012-13, I started this consultancy company called Hali Management Consultancy. Now we started off as corporate trainings, workshops, seminars, and conferences. My first office was in Sukal Bahar Palace Hotel because I thought at that time that having a fancy office and being there makes a big difference. Well, to a certain extent it did, but then this is how you learn. All right, it's not about the office. It's not about what you offer. It's about you at the end of the day. And that company's name was derived from my grandmother's name. So my grandmother's name is Halima. And my childhood was with her. So my value system or the discipline or the time, punctuality, giving it back to the community, learned all this from her.
Great.
So I thought, okay, when I grew up one day, if I start something, it has to be in her name. I was very fixed on that. It was like probably in my DNA or running on my thought process daily, and I wanted to manifest it. Alhamdulillah, it happened. So there we started off corporate trainings, workshops, seminars for companies.
Okay.
And it took me 7 months to crack the first deal, or let's say the first program. And it was with Landmark Group. Mm-hmm. We had an extensive HR and team building trainings with them. And at that time, the people I had in my team, I'm still thankful to them. I keep in touch with them because these are your people from day one who gave you the hope. While doing all this, I started traveling.
Okay.
I traveled to UK and other countries just to learn. This is my way of learning. Experiential learning. Mm-hmm. You need to learn from people. You need to learn from others. And learning has no categories as such. You can learn from a CEO and from a beggar as well. This is my mindset.
I believe in that too, by the way.
Thanks, lad. And so when I went over there, I understood, okay, if we are able to bring such sort of top-notch qualifications from UK, which many people are doing it. It was for me for the first time. But what different we can do. Mm-hmm. And that's how the deep dive into the education sector started. That is higher education qualifications. Grade 12th onwards up till PhD level.
So you basically transitioned from the first company into Maverick,
yes,
right?
That is right.
Okay.
That is right. But the transition took us about 5 years. That 5 years we were sculpting and nurturing and nourishing ourselves with the right knowledge, with the right attitude, with the right people, the process, right partners, the universities that who you work with, because these are the people that you have on a long-term basis and you need to have great relationship with them. You can't go wrong considering profit margins or throwaway relationship, because we are in the business of the people. We have to serve our people. no matter in which industry you're in. Every dirham matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, just thinking about the distinction that you brought to the market.
Yeah.
I mean, there are many academies out there. What is it that distinguishes you from others?
If you want me to say it in one line, skill and knowledge-based qualifications.
Okay. Would you want to elaborate on that?
Every university, college, I have highest respect for all of them, and they do a great job. I learn from them also. I get the inspiration from them also. But where I wanted to be different was every student should be a leader by themselves. So leader is just not a title. It has to be an emotion that you need to feel with and apply in your daily aspect of life. So when I say skill and knowledge-based qualification, we embedded the EQ part in all our modular delivery, which runs throughout the year for all the students on an open learning concept. So when a student comes to us, the only vision or the only promise I give them is, I don't want to know your backstory, which I do, of course, but after you finish with us, there has to be a 10% increment in your ask quotient. Attitude, skill, and knowledge.
Okay, great. So now you were talking about the EQ, and we'll talk about other aspects as well, one by one. So let's start with EQ. I mean, this is something that is, to me, one of the most important skills, to master in a workplace. Whether you want to become an entrepreneur or you want to be a business leader, I mean, you need to be really skilled at your EQ. If you're not, then you can't work with people. You can't grow people.
Absolutely.
You can't be a business leader.
Correct.
Now, how do you inculcate or incorporate EQ into a standardized university curriculum?
Fantastic question. See, EQ does not, or the skill to master EQ does not happen overnight. It is a continuous learning process, just like knowledge seeking, learning. And I firmly believe that knowledge gets you to a certain level, but it's the character that gets you the respect.
True.
Am I right to say that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now we are in the domain of education, which is building morals and values and ethics and etiquettes. Rest everything is secondary, I feel. But if you get this right from a school level, you're already preparing leaders and great entrepreneurs right at the time of school itself. But answering your question, EQ has a lot of facets to it, interpersonal skills, communication skills, and stress management, risk management, and how do you handle crisis, all this. Now, we don't put slides and show to them that this is how you should do. Rather, we bring an industry veteran, build a case, make them to enact it or act it, and have a one-on-one conversation with them. And sometimes we put them on a spot, but it's fun in the sense they discover them a lot through these practices. So yes, one side, our academic delivery, our pedagogy, all these are going hand in hand. But
which is fairly standardized.
Yeah, which is standard. But for example, sorry, I shouldn't be deviating, but if you take the leadership of Dubai, UAE as such, fantastic. I mean, the way they have put Dubai on the global map, it's because of the vision the leaders have. And may God bless them for that and for giving such a safe and secure place. But what did they take? Risks and exceptional rewards, and created a conducive ecosystem for businessmen, families, communities, and societies to flourish. True. We are in such a land, and it's our obligation to inculcate the spirit of entrepreneurship and leadership to our students through EQ models, case studies, role plays, logical reasoning, critical thinking, analytics. So what it does is it empowers the student to say that, hey, you know what? I never thought I had this in me, but somewhat I'm getting there. Yeah.
Okay, so that is number one.
Yeah.
Number two, you mentioned something about communication. Do you want to elaborate? How do you focus on communication?
So when it comes to communication and interpersonal skills, obviously, which we have ingrained into our program and modular delivery from day one, in all our open learning sessions, and it's a must that all the students do a presentation, not as a group but as an individual. And I most of the times make myself sure that I sit in those presentations just to encourage them. We tell them, do not have the fear of being judged. Okay? You can make mistakes, but don't make the same mistakes again and again. Make a newer mistake and learn and apply and then move on. So these presentation, what it does is, maybe the first 2 modules, they are on back foot. Maybe the third and the fourth module, they slowly come to front foot. And then they drive.
So one thing I would like to mention here, is that communication is something that I think all the institutions do focus on, but there must be something different that I'd like to understand. Let me give you an example.
Sure.
I recently attended, let's say, a graduation ceremony. They call it a leavers ceremony, one of the most premium colleges in Dubai. And the students who came to the stage, they were all reading from paper. I wish that they could actually speak on their own.
Right.
But that wasn't the case. Now, to me, the school hadn't really focused on the communication part in terms of the delivery. The delivery and making a connection with the audience.
That's right.
This is one part of the communication.
Right.
This is where I think schools are not being very, very successful, because people or students, when they come to the practical life, they tend to focus on or rely on slides and papers and what have you. What is it that you are doing differently?
Very good question again. And I'll take you back a little bit prior to our conversation that we were having. Is we focus on experiential learning. So under our open learning methodology, we have, let's say, various segment of students sitting together, learning from each other for each other. So you will have an entrepreneur doing his master's, and then another entrepreneur doing his PhD, and then a student doing his bachelor's or her bachelor's. So what happens is we have created this dynamics wherein we clearly say that, please ask. If you don't ask, you don't get. So we have created that dynamic ecosystem for learners to thrive and not just be scared that, oh, I'm going to be judged, my marks are going to be dropping, my grades are going to go low, professor is going to give me feedback. These are mundane, rotten. We need to shift from this to creating experiences, novel experiences, micro credentials, and connecting the dots with the student and the entrepreneurs. For example, what a student of, let's say, a 21, 22-year-old, the energy they have and the curiosity they have, it could be mapped with an entrepreneur who has already been there and done that, been successful. Now this, you can read so many books, but having a conversation with that person in the class changes the whole scenario. 1. 2, we also create that business networking to flourish, to develop.
Okay, so we've talked about EQ, we've
Yeah.
talked about communication, interpersonal skills, experience-based learning. What else do you think what are the other skills that are really, really important for the business leaders and entrepreneurs of today?
They should obviously be acquainted with the basics or the basic elements of what or how to run a business, be it finance, marketing, or HR. You don't have to have a deep knowledge in everything, because then what it does, it leads to a burnout. Now, you can take my example. When I started, I knew nothing. But you meet people and you learn, you see certain podcasts like this. What you're doing is a fantastic job. You learn certain things and adapt and put it in your style. Because at the end of the day, what we are trying to tell our student is, every day when you come to us, you want to create a better version of yourself. And it starts from realizing who you are at the end of the day. So all our methodologies, even our faculties or adjunct faculties, what we do is bring the skills at the forefront. And yes, plenty of information is there anyways. Today, to be honest, if you ask me, I think maybe in another 15, 20 years, brick-based campuses and colleges will face a lot of backlash in terms of numbers or recruiting students, because it's fading away. Doing bachelor's for 4 years and 3 years, this concept will be negated, at least in the business and management level. Another 10 years, 15 years, no, because students have everything at their forefront. But information is easily accessible. The most important part is, are you able to grasp that information and use it for the welfare of your community or your business or your family? For that, you need a mentor, or you need someone to hold your hand. And who better than that from industry veterans who can say that, okay, this is what it needs to be done. So business leaders, entrepreneurs, the learning never stops. You have to continue learning, attend a lot of conference and workshop as much as possible, learn from some great podcasts and, Simon Sinek or so many names I can think of. Probably you will be right up there also, inshallah, very soon. But what I'm trying to say is, like knowledge seeking and learning, right from your cradle to your grave. It's continuous.
Interesting. You've mentioned something about reverse learning somewhere on the internet, I believe. What do you mean by?
It's basically a flipped classroom learning, wherein the active learning is something wherein you have the students with you and you present everything to their then and there itself. In this process, we share everything in advance with our students. They'll be prepared. But once when they come there, they'll be surprised because we, as I said, create real-time scenarios, case studies, projects, and make them act as like a consultant or like as an advisor to an existing entrepreneur, saying what needs to be done. So as they speak or as they suggest, the faculty will be improvising and touch basing on that one. Two is we also embedded this pedagogy for our professional doctorate qualifications. Entrepreneurs and businessmen, we have more than like 180. I think by now we would have crossed 200 in the last 10 to 11 years from 35 different countries who did this course, and they have graduated successfully.
So it's basically dissecting the life of an entrepreneur and
Entrepreneur.
basically opening it up for
research.
learners.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
That is what we need today. I mean, success doesn't come overnight. It's a sustained process, right? Now, how do you measure this? It's a measure because it's again EQ and skill based. But then understanding the journey and the travails and how they have built up serves as an inspiration for the future learners or future leaders.
Now, talking about yourself, you've never been to a university. Right? I'm sure you must have had some pushback at some point from some people, that you're running, and you founded an academy which is providing university degrees, and you yourself have not been to a university.
Yeah.
You've done an MBA, I believe, right?
Right, in
At a
2020.
later stage, but not
in leadership and strategy. That's
not
right.
by attending a formal university,
no.
right? How do you want to explain that?
I think right from the time when I was a student, even in schools. So my life as a school student was in 3-4 different countries. India, I was in Yemen for a while. 7 years of my childhood was there. I still feel that that's the best time of my life in terms of my school and learning, because we had the finest teachers. I still remember all their names. I can speak about them for hours. Finest teachers who believed in the art of inspiring students to learn newer things, to question newer things, to push. When I felt in certain elements or in certain areas that, oh gosh, I can't do it, this teacher will come. If you don't do it, I'll crush you. But today, if the teachers say this to students, it becomes a sensitive issue.
Yes.
Pun intended. But what I'm trying to say is this is what we had at that time. You know what you can do, but just don't give me all these excuses. So from that time, I've always been, let's say, a sort of a rebel questioning things, questioning the system. Why should I do this? Why should I do that? Always a backbencher, creating nuisance and issues. And even in trigonometries and Pythagoras theorems and all, I used to ask my teacher, what am I benefiting out of it? And they don't have an answer. But what I'm trying to say is I've always questioned all this right as a child to understand what can we do to be better or to get there. Now, when I attended college, just for that diploma program, which I have still not claimed yet, my certification, I understood that the parents are spending a fortune. Okay. And the students, after they finish, most of them are struggling to get jobs. So I understood the gap, what was happening and what can we do to get it better. And is everything related to the final qualification that you hold, or is it the person? To understand this, it took me some time. Yes, some people will say top 100, top 10. Yes, all these universities are phenomenal, Ivy League. But how many of us can study in Ivy League?
Not many. Now, talking about the education system, I mean, I personally believe that the current education system around the world is not preparing students for the practical world. There are many, many areas that they're missing on. Do you think, is the world moving towards changing this, or is it not changing? What exactly is happening?
Well, the last 5 years has been phenomenal for the global education industry. A lot of positive changes have started coming in. Colleges have understood that, or let's say big universities around the globe have understood that charging 15,000, 18,000 pounds a year in US or UK and other places, and having a 4 years program, right, where a student goes and studies, okay, spends about 80, 100,000 pounds and comes back to their home country without a job. It hurts.
That's a
It's
sorry
painful.
state of affairs.
It's painful, and it still goes on. Why? Because everybody is fascinated with the concept of studying abroad, and which is good. Yes, this is how you broaden your horizons and you go and meet great people, great friends you make for life. But now the college have started realizing that we need to do beyond this. We need to have industry and academia interface. Industry connects. Now, some universities, which I appreciate, after the final year of the bachelor's, they do an internship for 1 year, which is part of the course. They need to finish that in order to successfully graduate and qualify. Now, these changes and then nano degrees and micro credentials, all these have started coming in through these edtech institutions like Udemy or even LinkedIn Learning. So people have access to a lot of information, and they've understood that it's always not about that you have to learn about each and everything to be a master, but certain elements where there is demand. Now, for example, Abu Dhabi and UAE government as such, they are giving a lot of importance to coders and coding. They're giving free education. Like this, there are many initiatives by the governments themselves. Coming back again, whatever you study, how much ever you study, wherever you go, it's all about, at the end of the day, how you apply. Right? Now, this is where the universities and other colleges should create that model wherein they know that these students are thriving, have a great alumni connect, and have more campus placements, right? And allow these entrepreneurs and other industrialists and owners to integrate with these students on a 2-3 day workshop. So what it does is the students are like, wow, I want to be like him or her, and they go and talk to them. Some students, when we had this masterclass sessions, they are in awe, because I remember when I was 22, 23, that's the time I started the business. I had a very short stint with SPGen, which I told you. Fantastic university. I mean, I have the highest of respect for the institution. I was there for like a semester or two. I mean, when I was 23 there, my classmates were all leaders and entrepreneurs and business people. I was like, wow. So when the professor asked, okay, what is your concept on globalization of marketing, or, taking your product from local to global? We are answering in a different perspective, but the answers that came from these gentlemen were totally different. So it allowed us to take that step to ask, okay, sir, what do we do about this? How do we go about it? Can we have your number? Can we meet for coffee? So these small things, I think the university should consciously deploy in their delivery, in their programs. I mean, they have to understand that, especially these days, earning money is not that easy, or how it used to be. Everybody have their own challenges and all that. That needs to be respected, and every student must be given equal opportunities in accessing jobs or business or pitch decks or access to VCs, angel investors. The faculty should work closely with them in creating a model and helping them to build it, which is happening. So this paradigm shift have already started happening, and I can see that it's going to be more exciting in the next 10 years. But having said that, nothing can replace EQ.
Correct.
AI is here. AI is advanced. You have so many versions of ChatGPT and so many things taking over. But if you ask me, I came across a quote a couple of months back. There was a Polish journalist, I forgot her name. She said, I am more than happy for AI to do my laundry, dishwashing, cleaning, etc., but not my reading, writing, literacy, thinking. So now this is a challenge that even the universities and colleges will start facing because everybody has access to that. Right.
Since we're talking about AI, I wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
what is the role that the AI is currently playing in the education system around the world, and what is its future?
Well, AI is already started dominating in the sense it's, let's say, the more enhanced version of your Google search engine or having things all under one umbrella at the same time. It's like you have a mini assistant with you. If you ask, it gives you all the data and information within split seconds.
Yeah.
Well, for the school students and university students and college students, it shouldn't be an easy route to get things done. Number one, they need to use AI with certain level of guidance in terms of enhancing the content which is there on their mind or what they want to say and glorify it a little bit. But if they completely depend on AI, what will happen is we are creating humanoids, human robots,
Yeah.
whose thinking prowess, whose creativity prowess, everything will just subdue because, okay, I have this, I can put it on and, move on.
Absolutely. The way I look at it is, you can take a lot of support from AI.
Yeah.
You can use it in a supportive role, but not the main source of your information.
Cannot. So that is where I think, universities, I had a great meeting with some of the chancellors and VCs 4 months back in my trip to UK, which I'm again traveling day after, that suddenly some of the students are becoming poets and scholars and stalwarts
Yeah.
overnight.
Very easy. Copy paste.
So
You're done.
so this is something where the professors have also been very actively involved, and I appreciate, I salute all the teachers and professors out there because the amount of challenges they face in order to get the best out of the student is quite excruciating and demanding, especially with these technological advancements. So they are involved. They know, okay, as the person, and that is where the presentation is important. Okay, you can write everything or say, but then let's say a viva voce or something that needs to be asked. Okay, and when that becomes a part of it, students are like, okay, I should at least know what I'm doing.
Wow. So AI can be used both ways, negatively and positively.
Yeah.
If you're using it negatively, you'll become dependent on it and you'll not learn a thing, essentially.
You will start stagnating to such an extent that you will be so much dependent on it, and you will not be able to.
Your own mind is gone. You're not using it at all.
Not at all.
But
even till date, I have never myself used a ChatGPT because I never found the need of using ChatGPT.
Okay.
I have seen my associates and all that having it in their phone advanced, because for me everything has to be from here.
Yeah, correct.
My emails or even my contracts or my agreements, everything is, you can say I'm a classic, romantic or a traditional at heart, where I
absolutely.
feel that this is necessary for us to build the rapport, build the relationship. After COVID, suddenly everything has become online. Even people who are in Dubai or in Sharjah, when you say for a meeting, let's do Zoom. Well, yes, if it is that important or that's something you can't make it, okay, but then you're just in the same zone.
Yeah.
I can come to you.
That's the human touch.
It's a human touch.
That cannot be missing. Yeah. So using it positively is, in my books, use it in a supportive role.
You can use AI for your, coding purpose. You can use for your, data analytics. You can use for, crunching the numbers. If you know how to use it in the right way, it's an asset. But you should tell yourself that you should master AI. AI should not master you.
Should enhance your thought process rather than taking it over, essentially.
Absolutely. And that is how you will improve or let's say optimize your efficiency, be it in your professional usage or personal usage.
So talking about AI further, in my view, AI will take away a lot of jobs.
Yeah, by 2030, the stats clearly say that a lot of jobs are going to be automated.
Automated. Yeah. And certainly, you'll probably need to gear up in terms of developing certain skill set in terms of either using the AI or creating different industries altogether.
Now, with AI, what we intend to do is give the students different insights and ideas about how other businesses are operating in different countries. Because now, whatever you put, it comes. It's that effective right now. Learn from what do you call major case studies, major disruptive business management and ideas and techniques that have taken over all this period. So, as we rightly discussed a few minutes back, if we can master it, it is excellent because it will allow you to have a competitive edge compared to others. That yes, I know how to play with my Excel, I know how to play with my data crunching, etc. But at the same time, if you are, let's say, into business and if you are into research, again, product development, R&D, it helps a lot to get the right figures. I mean, there are so many leaders who, obviously, all the leaders and CEOs and CFOs, their decision is backed by data backed or data driven decisions. So now this is really changing the game to that level. And as a young institution, we are also learning. We are not perfect either. We are absolutely willing to collaborate and cooperate with institutions who can deploy AI systems to enhance the learning of our students without compromising on the skill based and the EQ factor.
What is the biggest threat that the AI is posing to the current education system?
I mean, creativity.
Creativity.
Yeah, that's the number one.
Is it not creating the creativity?
That is the problem. It's creating everything for you. And what it allows you to, let's say, affirm or reaffirm is, what, I have this. So why should I? This is what the students are thinking right now. Why should I? I have everything at my fingertip. So again, fundamentally, your logical reasoning, analytical thinking, critical thinking, all are gone for a toss. So this is the major threat at the students level or, the college and the universities level. You're not able to think. You are just in a one-dimensional world where whatever you want to input, do it. Even I have seen kids saying, okay, hey Siri, do this for me, do that for me. So they're commanding all this. When we grew up, we were like, we didn't know all this. We were on the streets playing, getting hurt. And this is how you learn resilience. You learn to be more tougher in terms of facing crisis or whatever. But the current generation, because everything is available at ease. And we were even talking about how excess information is available. Passive consumption of information. TikTok, this, that. So students' minds are like, I wouldn't say crushed, but it's already filled with too much of junk. Now they don't know what is real and what is virtual.
Wow, that's true.
They're unable to come out of that, which is a big issue. It's a pertinent issue that parents are facing, teachers are facing. But then how do you come out of that? You have to mentor them. You have to not say that, hey, you should not use it. Hey, why don't we talk? Why don't we see what you're using? Guide them out. Give them a reason. Celebrate with them. And today's students are tomorrow's global leaders. So it's very important that as educators, we, especially in schools and colleges, take out that time to nourish them and nurture them.
Interesting conversation on AI. Now, coming back to Maverick, where do you see Maverick in the next 10 years?
The vision which I always had or been having for Maverick is to always be the people's learning partner. And alhamdulillah, by Almighty's grace, we are. And we're touching the lives of thousands of students, even in deprived places where we are working with governments and diplomatic missions and all that to make education more accessible and formidable in terms of what qualifications they are getting and also what skills they are learning. So we wanted to be our own university by 2030, and the work is already in progress because we have already got the provisional approval in the US to have a private university. And but I still feel that we have a long way to go. And it's just not about, all right, pulling in 10 investors, creating a big campus and putting in students. If I don't find the emotional drive or the belief in anything, I will not do it. So unless and until I feel that we are ready as a team and okay, we have done and this is time for us to step up in terms of to reach more people. So that is when we will have a university, which 2030 looks more like a reality.
That's That's interesting, and I wish you all the best with that. Any message that you'd like to pass to upcoming entrepreneurs or the entrepreneurs who are actually running their current businesses?
Well, if you ask me, some of the best businessmen and entrepreneurs, even upcoming ones, are way too talented, extremely advanced. They have bigger and brighter goals, what they want to achieve in their business and all that. But my humble suggestion would be, we all need to strive as greater human beings because there is very less competition in that field.
Beautiful.
There is very less competition in that field. Why? Because when you become an entrepreneur or a businessman, the first thing that you need to do is, obviously, you will have your success, you will have your growth, you will have everything that you need. But are you able to replicate and duplicate it with others? Right? Are you able to give a helping? And first of all, are you even accessible? That sense of gratitude. Now, some of the people that I have met, not just here, many places, they take their positions to be very seriously. Thought leader, inspirational leader, great, okay. But all that means nothing to me, or at least to my perspective. It's all about how you treat people, let's say with you, below you, above you, doesn't matter. And what value you add to them is the most fundamental aspect. So I'm too young to advise anybody, but this is my learning in the last 10 to 12 years, because it's all about how you make people feel that matters the most.
That is a very, very powerful message.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fazil, for joining me today.
Thanks a lot.
I'm sure our audience will have a lot to learn from this conversation.
Thanks a ton, Mr. Tariq, for having us and having me here. And I think it's one of the heartfelt conversation I think I've had after a long time.
Likewise.
Thanks a lot for having me
Thank
here.
you, Fazil, for being with us today.
Thanks a lot. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.